Grisaiaの風。
Bonjour watcher, this is Jermaine45 and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia. Yeah, we play more and more this game. It's a beautiful game. Yes, see, it's 2013. Okay, enough of that. Let's continue.
続きからよ。
Last time we Yuji and Makina visit Asako grave, and now Seat of the World 39. What's going to happen? I was wondering. Alright, I'm hungry. What to eat?
飯にしよう。
Taking the plate in one hand as our small fire begins to cut out. Then, seizing Makina's small hand in the other, I set off down the road trail leading back to the cabin. As pitch twilight gives way to darkness, I twist open the propane stopcock, then lift the bath water to heat as I begin preparing dinner. But of course, the fridge is a barren wasteland, and the vegetable garden out behind the shed has run wild with weeds. Only available provisions at the moment will be the stores of vacuum packed instant rice and canned salmon pie up in the shed. Can't manage much other than gruel or fill of rice with this.
あと、キッチンの流しの下からパスタが出てきたのよさ。
Pasta aren't those actually straight ramen noodles. Completely forgot we had that stuff. The package Makinas misidentified as pasta contain long strand of dry instant ramen noodles. We used to have these stacked all over the place, and the Hataka pork bones flavor in particular was one of Asako's favorite foods. After a few beers, she do almost always devour a bowl of ramen heaping with vegetables. That brings me, Asako used to make these for all many times when she got drunk. Normally you're supposed to boil these for 3 minutes, but Asako opted for 60 seconds stir fry in a pan. She focused mainly on eating the toppings, picking up the well simmered noodle only every once in a while. Makina, you haven't tried these before, have you? Want to have some? That's it, we got nothing in the way of toppings. Can't hold to it. Imitate the Asako style tower of peeled bean sprouts and cabbage doused in vegetable oil. Fortunately now we do discover dried chives and roasted sesame seeds under the sinks, if not red pickled ginger or stripes of pork. It's a little more than a plain ramen, but in combination with the fried rice we at least got a somewhat respectable looking meal on our table 50 minutes later. Rather than dinner, it does seem a little more like an oversized midnight snack, but perhaps owing to Amani's strong anti-instant ideological leanings, Makina seems to find some novelty value in the meal. She gobbles down the ramen in the blink of her eyes, repeatedly yelping, "Delicious!" By the time we are finished with the somewhat rough supper, the hour's hand on the clock turned past 8. Returning to Myanmar at this hour will be far too troublesome, and more than anything else, I am concerned about the danger Makina might fall asleep in the back seat and sleep right off. All things considered, it's clearly be best to set up in camp in the cabin for the night and make our way back home tomorrow morning. Her belly is full. Makina's already begun to mumble incoherently on the verge of sleep. I haul her to the feet and unceremoniously strips off her clothes. Then launch her into the bath with a kick to the rear, tossing her dirty outfit to the beat-up old washer dry just outside the bathroom door. "You still awake in there?" As I transferring her wet clothes to the dryer half of the machine. I call out Makina for the third time in the last 10 minutes. Last thing I need is the girl falling asleep in the tub and drowning herself. If I straighten my ears, I can make out the sounds of Makina splashing around washing her body, as well as a cheerful rendition of Tuna Fishman's theme song, which mainly involves yelling "Maguro Man" fighting for justice repeatedly in a jumble of English and Japanese. But seriously, is that ghastly human tuna hybrid really supposed to be a superhero? Just in the character without any contest, I'm pretty sure I would be pegging him as a hideous monster of the week rather than the protagonist. But then again, the world's a place of constant change. Maybe the children of the world have acquired a taste for the avant-garde in their Saturday morning entertainment? Either way, it seems I've still got a lot to learn. When Makina gets out of bed, I wrap a white towel, snug it around her head and twist it back until her hair is dry. Then slid an old Oxford shirt from my days as student in America onto her as a temporary substitute for her clothes. Naked except for a long sleeve man shirt several sizes too large, Makina begins losing her, bending her waist back and forth like a patient suffering and morbid dysentery. She then goes "oh la la la" in a high-pitched tone.
どう？私、セクシー？
Don't tell me that's Amani teaching. Alright, wait here, I'll get a dictionary so you can take a careful look at the definition of the word sexy.
ちっとぐれん脳殺されたふりして くれてもバチは当たんないと思うのよ。
Be ugly? What? Whatever my faults, I pride myself on my sincerity towards men. Women. Before Obama, Makina's eye says they have grown as evidently, but the hot water says they have given her something of a second wind. It takes a little doing to get a cramp into her bed. Although she's not out easily enough in the middle of the day, the girl actually has a habit of refusing to fall asleep when you actually want her to. Normally I could leave this away, but that's obviously not an option today. Fortunately, no matter how much Makina grumbles about not being sleepy yet, when I forcefully scoop her around, she always sees the struggle and wraps her arms around my neck. Basically, the girl just scared of going to bed alone. After that, it's a simple matter of depositing her in bed and holding her hand for the 30 minutes so she until she falls asleep in earnest. Now this Makina's small body in my arms, I was struck by the sense of the familiar shampoo, mingling with the subtle feminine smells of her skin. Reminds me so strong of us that I actually start a little in surprise.
ね、パパ、この前のお話の続きをして。
Which one was I telling you again?
パパがアメリカに住んでた頃の話で、友達と賭けをして180メートル先の標的に当てたってやつ。
What again? I already told you that 3 times a day.
もう一回聞きたいよ。あと、みんなでハイキングに行った時の社会15センチの話も聞きたい。
You really like this stuff for some reason, don't you? I'm not sure why she finds this sort of thing so interesting, but Makina's burning to hear my stories lately. The flower pot, the can, the severe head. His name was Riceback, unlucky he's Zippo. Where's the telephone? Attitude land. For a moment, this fairly well varied and some small anecdotes. There's one particular that clearly becomes the girl's favorite. Specifically 100 meters from scrubbing the John. Right, so this was back when I was 14 years old, attending Uncle Sam's school in America. One day I ended up making a bet with a classmate. I'd been distinguished myself as a sniper at that time, and this particular classmate kept coming at me with his stupid line, "What's with the rifle specialty? Is it your name, Uzi?" Not only did I not fight back, I didn't show the slightest sign of irritation at the stupid joke, which eventually pissed my classmate off pretty badly. They ended up challenging me to a bet, hoping to knock me down a peg. The bet itself was about as simple as they come. I had to land a shot on the can of tomatoes from 200 yards. It sounds really damn pointless, but I refused to play along at first. But when my classmate offered to take over a week's load of laundry if I won, my perspective on the matter changed. After managing to bargain my way to 3 shots, I ultimately accepted the bet. But there was one major problem: the rifle I had to use. At the time, I didn't have the authorized to use anything but the small bore and its 22 caliber rounds. So immediately, the guy I was using for this was just such a 22 LR bolt action rifle. Normally speaking, you want to be fired a small bolt at 250 meters. The bullet itself can travel a good 1,600, but the effective range normally maxes out at least than 100. Normally, I was using this thing for a shot from 200 yards or slightly over 182 meters. It was taking place outside where I had to deal with the wind. Felt like pretty shitty odds, but on the second I managed a solid hit. Naturally, that meant I was the winner of our bet, but unfortunately, one of the instructors found out I'd taken the rifle without permission, so instead of laundry-free with shit or leisure, I ended up ordered to scrub laundry until shit smells like daisies. But apparently, the tomato can I shot is still enshrined in the school cafeteria, along with photographic evidence. I'm not trying to get all the north side of wily or whatever, I can't help smiling a little wily. One at my inability to tell Makina's half a decent bedtime story than anything. But when I finally snapped back to reality, I realized that Makina closed her eyes and began mumbling in her sleep. The lengthy trip and reading the sun must tire her out after all. Feeling more than a little relief, I quietly left the cabin with my cell phone in hand. Although there is a tower relatively close by, the signal's not particularly good inside the cabin itself. I walk a little ways until the mirror at the top of my screen displayed 3 bars.
風見さんですか？今どちらにおられるのです？先ほどから何度かお電話をさせていただいていたのですが。
That's Sachi. About time they say by our best, I'm not even about to say hello. Begin to request that.
帰りが遅いので皆さん心配しておられます。何時頃にお戻りになられますか？
Uh-oh, the dialogue is not synchronized. Ah, sorry, this actually not so clear.
お泊まりですね。
Right, about that. We actually stay in Yamanashi. Makina already found us, so we are going to stay here.
お泊まりですか？
The So two of you are staying over. Sorry for the trouble, but will you mind looking at the like profession Apple City while we are away?
何？今お泊まりって言った？そんで5月使い切るまで帰ってこないってこと？そうなの？そうなんだ。けだもの、ユージ。あんたけだものよ。すみません。少々お待ちいただけますか
See now why you're like that noisy blood is in full square. I do apologize, but can you please wait for a moment? Not a problem, I guess.
すみません、風見さん。少しみちる様には落ち着きを取り戻していただきましたので、それでザリガニの世話とリンゴの苗ですね。
I say sorry for the hassle.
かしこまりました。すべてはこの私にお任せください。風見さんは安心して焦らずゆっくりとお気をつけてお戻りください。はい。それで
Thanks. I mentioned to be some hot and black honey rice cake as a souvenir.
差し出がましいことを申すようで。
Contraception. Not to worry, I pick up 44 bags of rubbers on the way over.
はい。25回目に気をつけてください。寝ているところをズブリと。
Please be careful about the 25th round. I'm telling you, it was a joke. I'm not going to do anything in the first place. Fucking already sleepy, remember?
冗談です。風見流ジョークですね。
You really did tell me about this, aren't you?
はい。では、お帰りを心からお待ちしております。おやすみなさいませ。
Hey, what's going on with that girl? I feel like there's a lot of more venom in her tongue lately, and her frontal softly definitely get a little on the violent side. I admit to the sins to give. Think it's entirely my fault, but I don't remember giving Sachi any orders to act like this. In fact, I made every effort to give her only strictly appropriate instruction. But come to think of it, there was another one incident the other day. I was telling Makina another of my stories that paused to note that most efficient ways to have a panic officer cadet regain presence of mind in a foxhole. Sachi used to be listening in, nodding with deep conviction and committed. I say in other words, blood weapons are the best medicine for derangement. Next is JB. Surely unrelated, just now the several female needs to blame every problem on the man.
はい、もしもし。誰？
Eh? Oh, this solo unfolded is exactly the kind of thing that turns women against us, but it helped me regain the necessary conversation to make my second call. I just summoned a complete unfamiliar woman always answered the phone.
こわ。なあ、ちょっとやめてよ。それ私の携帯じゃない。返して。ごめんね、彼氏。今、アマネに返すから。もしもし？誰？ユージ？ごめん。私今こっちの友するわけないでしょ。っていうか何？電話なんかしてきて珍しい。どうしたの？何かあった？ユージ、愛してる。
You people are definitely in hot drugs. I'm sorry, because the dialogue is not synchronized right now.
もううるさい。静かにしてってば。何言ってんの？ごめん、お待たせ。どうしたの？急に私の声が聞きたくなったとか？
On the other side of the line, her voice put out her close to poking her head.
そんなことないけど。
Yeah, that's right. I just had to hear that voice of yours. So I couldn't help giving you a call. Did I make a noise to myself? Let's get to the main topic.
はい？なんで山梨？そっか、お墓参り？おば太郎ちゃんと動いた？CDI って言われても私にはわかんないけど。だって改造したの私じゃないもの。っていうかあの状態でバイク屋さんから買ったのよ。16の時に免許取ってなんかちょうどそのお店の店員さんが前に乗ってたやつを安く売ってくれるって言うから何も考えないで。もまあ原因がなんか信号待ちしてる時とか突然ストンと止まっちゃって、 30分ぐらい冷まさないとエンジンがかかんないから困る。なるほどね。修理したらいくらぐらいかかるのかな。いいわ。おバトローは貸してあげるから気をつけて乗るのよ。マキナはどうしてるの？ちゃんとご飯食べてる？ちょっときっとよ。なんか不安だな。朝昼晩とちゃんと食べさせて、夜の8時以降は何も食べさせちゃダメよ。わかった。それじゃあ気をつけて帰るのよ。マキナに怪我させないでね。おやすみ。ちゃんと私の夢を見るのよ。
Spare me again lectures in my waking hours. For sorry, my dreams are always nightmares. Let's just leave JB. Scroll down the day was one of my phone contacts and press the call button. Like I said, I'm a man of many callers. The trace internet I submitted to JB earlier didn't include any reference to staying away night from my post. Of course, my employees probably aware that I'm staying in Yamanashi. I'd be very surprised if they hadn't been tracking the GPS on my other cell phones this entire time. Say that doesn't mean I can get away with completely blowing off the formalities.
ただいま電話に出ることができません。ピーという発信音の後にお名前とご用件をお話しください。
What's this? You need a midnight oil over there? Customer UJ, this is Makina. Status numbers. My current location is Asako Scamming Yamanashi. Schedule return to post by 100 hours tomorrow. End of the message. After the recording is the constant summary of the necessary information. I just on the verge of hanging out when I relaxedly hesitate. After a moment pause, I return the receiver to my mouth once more. Night, Julia. That always been what it is. Recording a little extra in a way of pleasantry shouldn't cause any issue. My message complete. I hang out and finally snap the phone shut. Ha! I slide the cell phone back into my pocket and slide the unpropped it out of my mouth. In the isolated mountain night, the only sounds are the rustling of trees in the wind and the creeper of insects reveling in summer. I don't mind not hearing people or their machines in the distance, but the birds are fairly noisy in their own nights, right? Let's say it just makes you feel anxious when things get too quiet. Human beings are pretty hard to please. Hearing nothing but the sounds you make yourself is a genuinely terrifying thing. There was a time years ago when I woke up half buried under a pile of soil and sand. Better still, I couldn't remember how I do come to be there. I must stay there for a good 3 minutes before finally recalling that a few artillery shells had landed nearby. Pushed away by a little by the man behind me, I followed roughly into my foxhole and it just rained down. When I crawled out of the hole, I noticed that my eardrums were malfunctioning badly. I couldn't hear a thing other than the high-pitched ringing voice. It was the middle of the night, so my field vision was just as poor. The small silvers of moonlight flickering through the trees above were enough to make out of any movement for me. Around me, the fears that had been swirling around my guts became a cold dread creeping slowly up my spine. It felt like I might be the only person on earth as I've been left behind on the dead and empty hush of the world. The night can be very dark sometimes. When I'm facing it alone, I always remember that moment. Asako. Looking into the sky, her name slipped out of my mouth. Just how long am I planning to drag her memory around like a ball and chain? It's not like Asako wanted her herself. She told me flat out, didn't she? If I die, forget about me within a year. It's been a year and a half. I should forgot her completely now. By now, I promise I would. But it's hard, Asako, being alone. Yeah, it is hard being alone. And we're back to the dormitory. I can almost hear the words read the slides up outside, but she's no longer here to deliver them. August 9, 2011, 11:35, school dormitory lobby. The next day, just as scheduled, Mike and I returned to the Mayawa Academy door a little before noon. Although the total length of our trip was barely more than a day, for Mike and I ceased to have a qualified as a genuinely adventure. From the moment she woke up this morning, the girl was even more hyper than usual. From the moment she woke up this morning, the girl was even more hyper than usual. She insisted that just heading back would have been all fun, so after this was just a tendency.
というわけで恥ずかしながら帰ってまいりました。
Why so early the script? Eventually, why not? I'll let you away while I take a quick away.
風見さん、マキちゃん、お帰りなさい。
I don't understand why you're supposed to be ashamed about, and it's not that we went to Guam or something.
どうでしたか？楽しかったのよさ。 帰りに立ち寄ったタッポーの土産はマカダミアナッツのチョコ。みんなで食べるといいのよさ。
Let's decide why you climb me a bridge and we only made as far as the fifth station.
結局。
よーし、南国マンに変身だ。
そう、帰ってきたのね。
ユミちゃん、恥ずかしいながら帰ってまいりました。
I cannot go with this stupid insynchronized dialogue.
そのネタはさっき
ソロモンよ。
そういうネタはもういいから。昨日は平和な一日だったわね。
さっきさえりゃ最初ベックに gloomy。
遠くを見つめるようにしみじみとそういうこと言うなよ。
うるさい。
チルチル。
違うわよ。なんでか知らないけど頭
勉強のしすぎではありませんか？
And now change
頭
person.
は
Oh my
大切
god.
にしてくださいね。何か？
Ah crap. No, just wanted when to begin jabbing at that. I mean, the idea of Michiru study is enough to make you die laughing.
風見さんがどうしても突っ込みたいのであれば潔く突っ込まれますが、できれば突っ込まないでください。
何の話を。
突っ込みたがる男と突っ込まれるのを嫌がる女。
At
ま
times,
ま
I
な
feel
らねえもんだな。
よくわかんないけどとにかく静かにしなさいよ。つかあんたなんか妙にテンション高くない？
I have no choice but. Why are you not moving?
それに追加して旅行のバカンス気分の余韻がまだ抜けていないようね。楽しかったということだけは覚えていて、何を見てきたのかはまるで覚えていない。遠足
失敬だなお前。ちゃんと山にも行って湖にも行ってきたっつうの。
Yeah, this girl is very broken.
じゃあ何山に登って何区を見てきたか覚えている？
アッポさんとおまか。
今なんて言った？
聞き返すその勇気、敬服します、みちる様。
全然惜しくないじゃないのよ。
というかイリスさん、あなたわざと言い間違えていない？
そぎゃんこつは仲よ。
熊本？
何それ？
そういうこと言うのよくないよ。キャラがブレるじゃんかいさ。
なんだかお疲れのご様子ですね。
No more. Miss Lyric? Yeah, I won't deny I'm a little worn out.
お風呂にでも入られて少しお休みになられてはどうでしょう。
Okay, this Chris still broken.
いいね。私もお風呂入って寝る。おう、2時からなのよさ。だからさっちん1時に起こして。
わかった、1時だね。
To be honest, I wasn't able to get much rest at all last night. I had a surprising string of days recently when I managed to get a solid 8 hours of sleep, so I almost started to forget. But I never been a deep sleeper. I typically jerk awake several times a night. Yesterday was a particularly off, for example. It's not like I'm physically exhausted, but I can definitely feel something like mental weariness weighing down on me. Please, don't script destroy anymore. No more broken script, please. Practically the moment my eyes close, some tense cord inside me snaps at last, and I tumble down into unconsciousness. What just happened? When I heard about the bombing, the sky outside is already grown pink and the cries of cicadas were beginning to cool down the scorched earth. With a few hours of deep and dreamless sleep behind me, I walk out into the lobby trying to shake off the slight lingering heaviness in the core of my head. Are you sick? I count the Sakaki that I glued into the television and received the unexpected news that a bombing has taken place in the vicinity of Mishiyama Cape Station. According to the news program she is watching, an automobile parked by the road in the shopping district abruptly exploded around 6 this evening.
ええ、現場のすぐ近くにいたみたいだけれど、無事だったみたい。でも。
Okay, the script is still broken. And is Makina alright?
少し様子がおかしかったわ。多分、あまり見たくないものを見てしまって、少しショックを受けたようね。
Oh yeah, she is working, I forgot.
小峰さんが付き添って、スオーさんの部屋で横になっているわ。今はそっとしておいてあげて。
I see where she is now. Alright. The word bombing means it wasn't an explosion caused by someone carelessly overturning a fuel tanker or something accident of that sort. It looks like the vehicle that exploded was a standard-sized passenger automobile, but from the low-resolution images on the television news program, it's not possible to identify the model or brand. However, Sakaki clicking away at her notebook PCs as we watching the show, and eventually finds a better quality photograph taken at the scene on the internet. Through that, we are able to establish it was a German luxury car. A German? The vehicle had completely flipped over from the force of the explosives, but as a rule, German automobiles are built sturdy. The body itself may be damaged beyond the point of repair, but the cabin wasn't crushed or deformed. At a glance, I'm willing to bet they used Semtex and the explosion clearly occurred underneath the car. Since the interior of the car itself wasn't blown apart, it seems likely that they used a shape-charged deliberate set to flip the entire thing over.
この事件はイリスさんに関係があるという話はしたわね。それは単純にイリスさんが偶然事件に遭遇したという話ではなくて。
I believe the trauma come back.
イリスさん本人、あるいは彼女の実家であるイリス家に大きく関与しているということなのよ。爆破された車はイリスさんの家の車なのよ。乗車していたのは運転席に専属の運転手が1人、そして後部座席にはイリス家の人間が乗っていた。
What do you mean?
イリス・サリナ、イリス・マキナの妹よ。ほら、三島崎の駅の南側に今新しいファッションビルが建設中でしょ。
A younger sister, Makina's sister was, but why was she was even?
その工事の遅れ自体にもいろいろな裏があるようなのだけれど、今は関係ないと考えては問題ないわ。イリスさんの妹さんはオープン前のとあるブランドショップに買い物に来ていて、その帰りに事件に遭遇したらしいわ。知っ っている人間は何でも知っているものよ。あなた、蛇の道は蛇って知っている？そうじゃなくて、そういう名前の会員制の情報サイトがあるのよ。今私が話した情報も、さっきの事件現場の詳細な画像も、そこからダウンロードしたものよ。
I don't know how to adjust the broken script and also the dialogue.
それなりに信頼のおけるサイトとはいえ、得られる情報には限度があるし、私のポケットマネーで得られる情報なんてたかが知れているけれど、その他の案件と照らし合わせて考えれば、イリスさんの実家で何かがあったと見るべきでしょうね。それが分かっているようなら、私だってこんな回りくどい言い方はしないわよ。これはあくまでも私の勝手な予測だけれど、あの事件の引き金にもなった原子力発電所絡みの案件がまだ水面下で動いているのかもしれないわね。概要ぐらいはね、私の実家とも無関係ではないし、興味本位で調べたわけではないということは理解しておいてほしいわね。あなた、その情報どこから？あなたのアルバイト先というのも私にはある程度予想はついているのだけれど、正確なところは聞かない方がいいのよね。そうね。今問題にするべきはイリスさんが何を見てどう関与したか、そこに尽きるでしょうね。
That we appreciate also I'm nothing but a part-timer. Try to keep that in mind.
マキちゃん、やっと眠ってくれました。
There's a sickening stress or uneasiness rising in my chest. What the hell is this? What's going on?
はい、今は静かに眠っていますし、みちる様が付き添って。
一体何があったというの？彼女から何か聞く？
はい、詳しい話を聞くことができました。私はマキちゃんのことまだ何も知らなかったんだって、そう思い知らされました。現場にいたというわけではなくて、近所の喫茶店とホテルにパンの配達に行っている途中だったようです。
Finally! Wait, Sachi was supposed to say this.
私が来ることは事前に知らせてあったし、希望する商品も伝えてあったでしょうに。どうしてちゃんとサイズを揃えておかないの？商売をする気がないのかしら。それとも私をバカにしているの？
申し訳ございません。 事前通達に不備がございました。後日屋敷の方へ届けさせますので、どうかご容赦をいただきたく。
I tell you, if Makina hasn't taken ill, her sister never would be placed in her current position. She'd probably be living normally in a branch family even now. At first glance, his pampered, ultra-privileged lifestyle might seem preferable to that. However, Makina had learned from Kazami Yuji that a life totally free of inconvenience only hinders your growth as an individual. And today, she couldn't see the girl in front of her as anything but an unfortunate, robbed of dreams, hopes, and freedom in exchange for empty luxury. She felt a twinge of something very much like pity. Makina had been the same way once. It was only after her arrival at Myanmar that she came to understand the virtues of a normal existence. Biting her lower lip, she whispered a sympathetic apology inside her mind. "I'm sorry, Sachin." Makina first learned she had a little sister when she was 5 years old. As the eldest daughter of the family's head, she'd been raised as an only child, but when she learned that her mother has born a child to the branch family's second son, only a year after her own birth, she was genuinely happy. At the time, Makina didn't really understand the implications of a mother giving birth to the child of a man other than her husband, and the reason why that child couldn't enter the main family or even meet her oldest sister were equally mystifying. In the first place, Makina would even have learned of her sister's existence if not for a butler's careless slip of the tongue. But once she did know, Makina developed a burning curiosity toward the girl she never met. Every once in a while, she would pay her sister stealthy visits, observing her life form from afar. Every time she spied on that little girl, living a normal life as a member of the branch family, the knowledge that she had a sibling grew more real to her. Many times, Makina would come to the verge of calling out to her only to hold back at the last moment. Look at her sister clinging affectionately to her stepmother's waist, innocently begging her "mommy" for some treat. Makina knew the sudden arrival of a big sister could very well shatter the girl's peaceful family. She could never bring herself to take that risk. But Makina didn't stop taking the time to go see her sister. Eventually, she invented a nickname for the girl she never spoke to, developed a one-sided make-believe relationship. Even the day she was kidnapped, just before going to her language class at cram school, she'd been secretly watching her little sister from inside her child-free car. Oh! And that was the last time Makina had seen her sister. Only hours later, she was kidnapped. Her father was killed before her eyes, and she was consigned to the life in the hospital that would last many years. And that's where Sarina took her place, I guess. Makina knew the girl was her little sister, but the girl didn't know her. There was no reason she had to hide. After a moment's hesitation, she emerged from her hiding place, resettling the breast in her arms, and just as she's done in the old days when in slightly playful modes, she carefully forced a nonchalant expression onto her face, then began to walk toward her sister. The man in the business suit behind the girl was burdened with countless bag and pens along with the names of expensive clothing stores, no doubt the result of her almost really indiscriminate shopping spree on Sarina's part. The trade was probably less about buying clothes than it was venting building up stress from the heavy responsibilities and expectations placed on the family's future leaders. Makina remembered doing something very similar herself, even as a child. Let me guess, someone's going to kill Makina after this. Been a while, huh? As they walked past each other on the sidewalk, Makina offered her sister a silent greeting inside her mind. They had passed each other by this numerous times before, although only Makina knew it. Every time it felt as though I thought the words "I'm your big sister" would slip out of her mouth. But they could never make it past the tip of her tongue, and today was no different. It just wasn't a possibility. Her sister's currently position was founded on her absence. For another thing, Salina had almost certainly been told she was dead. Even if it was permitted, Makinas wouldn't know how to begin speaking to her, let alone what they could talk about. Makina glanced over her shoulders, catching a glimpse of her sisters being held into a sleek black car stopped by the side of the road. It was reassuring to see her sister was being taken care of, but that thought reminded Makina that she herself no longer had a place in the house she was born into. She couldn't help feeling a slight prick of sadness. But today she had a hard-won family of her own, the students at Mihama. They giving her things her real family never could. Feeling her heart grow lighter, Makina clutches the warm bread against her chest and drew a drip bag, drinking out the comfortable seat of West. A small smile spread across her face. Once this delivery was over, the day's work would be done. She wanted to run home and see everyone to give Amane a call in Tokyo. Beyond by doorstop, she took a step forward, and in that instant, explosion! Makina felt a flash of heat against the back of her body, almost like a burn of powerful sunlight. Before she could even flinch, a thunderous roar rattled her eardrums so harshly it caused her physical pain. A fraction of a second later, fine particles of something like sand swept violently past her, flying down the asphalt like waves. And as the burning pain crawled over her, she saw the light downy hair on her forearms smoldering. Then dragged the husband as just before the missing waves of pain knocked her down onto the sidewalk. For a moment she couldn't process what had just happened. What had just happened? Crumpled on the hard concrete, listening to the grease gliding across the asphalt, the answers came to her slowly and halted as it filtered through the translation of her clumsy interpreter. An explosion. That's right, my friend. Art is an explosion. It took a full 2 seconds of those words to float into the surface of Makina's mind. She picked herself onto her knees, disbelieving, telling herself it couldn't be, but when she turned around, she came face to face with harsh, undeniable reality. The downfall of the gaze found the luxury black Mercedes her sister had stepped into the moments before. It was lying upside down, all but from sinking bright red flames. Sarina is dead? No, this can't be real. This time, her mind couldn't catch up at all. She didn't want to. She didn't want it to. She didn't want to accept the reality before her eyes. If only I died in her place. Don't tell me you want that, Makina. Just a moment ago, she had seen her sister from the side. The slightly irritated expression on her face, so close she couldn't reach out and touch her. Many thoughts were circling frantically around inside her head as the mind tried desperately to make something like sense out of the situation where it was all reckless. Nonsense noise, there was no answer she could accept. And the episode, my friends, thank you for watching my video. My video is just for fun.
セーブする
Don't forget to have brothers and sisters. Magic word time. Others in form of sub. Seed of the World Tree 9.